Hey guys, Andy here. I hope you're all doing great. I recently did a poll on the channel to see if you would like me to start covering PCVR titles too, and almost half of you said that you would love it. So today we're gonna be looking at 10 must-have Steam VR games that I think you should try out if you have a VR-ready PC. So let's go! If you've seen my recent videos, you know that I've built a VR-ready PC so that I can try out and review PCVR titles for the channel, and not only do Quest 2 games, but don't worry, I will be doing both moving forward so that everyone's happy. Anyway, I've been doing extensive research and trying out a lot of titles, and these are the ones that I consider the best Steam VR games right now. But as always, if you feel I've left out anything that should have been part of the list, leave a comment down below. Steam VR has so many awesome titles that I couldn't only pick 10, so I'm going to be doing 20 in total, spread across 2 videos. This video is part 1 and part 2 is coming really soon, but depending on when you're watching this, it might already be posted. The games are not listed in any particular order, so please watch all the way through as there's surely something in here for everyone. Now let's get going with the first game on the list. Half-Life Alyx. I really tried, but I could not find a more amazing game to kick off my first of many PCVR videos to come. You'll play as the young Alyx Vance in the battle against an alien race known as the Combine. If you're a fan of the Half-Life series, this one's action is set between Half-Life 1 and 2. I'm not sure how much I can tell you about this one that you don't already know, but it's probably the best VR game to ever come out. From the incredible mechanics to the story, graphics, and voice acting, it's just an all-around pleasure to play and an absolute must if you have a VR-ready PC. It's the type of game that you keep wondering about if it's worth the high price tag, and you immediately realize that it's worth it within the first 20 to 30 minutes of gameplay at the most. I can only wish that more games this polished will hit the market soon, but until then, if you have a VR headset and the proper PC, do yourself a favor and get this one ASAP. Raw Data. Deemed as the ultimate wave shooter, this sci-fi experience is one of those games which needs to be in your library. It has multiple game modes, from cooperative play with friends to competitive modes and of course campaign missions. In terms of weapons, you'll surely find something to your taste with a selection of dual pistols, shotguns, laser swords and bows and arrows, and they all feel awesome to wield. You'll also be able to choose between 4 classes, and if you're generally a fan of wave shooters, then the bombastic style of Raw Data will quench your thirst for sure, because it's as close to Hollywood blockbuster levels as it gets. Other than the 5v5 multiplayer mode, it doesn't really try to step out of its genre, but that's not a bad thing because it represents it well and it's worth being on your radar. Star Wars Squadrons. This one was primarily designed for PC and console, but while the VR mode lacks a few of the things you'd expect from a title built specifically for virtual reality, it more than makes up for it because you'll be able to not only enjoy the multiplayer component in your headset, but also the full single-player campaign, which is very well made, which you would kind of expect from a big budget title such as this one. The story's writing, as well as the voice acting execution and character development along the way, are a delight to experience, and of course the graphics are just stunning overall and leave you wanting to just stand still in your fighter and look around. It's that good. From a gameplay perspective, the game begs for a HOTAS setup for full immersion, but I don't personally own one and was still very happy playing with an Xbox controller because, yeah, you'll need to put your VR controllers to the side because they're not supported, but everything else is just so well made that I promise you won't mind. So whether you enjoy the Star Wars universe or just like engaging in airborne dogfights, give this one a go because it's 100% worth it. Vertigo Remastered. In this VR shooter, you'll step into an alternate universe and find yourself in an underground science facility full of robots, aliens, and lots of gadgets that will help you along the way in your quest back to the surface of the planet. It has a sort of Portal-like feel to it and strikes a good balance between combat, exploration, and puzzles. It doesn't really aim at realism, as it's designed as an arcade-style shooter with basically unlimited ammo and health, because they both regenerate automatically, allowing you to wreak havoc with without really thinking about it. You'll be able to collect energy globes that will grant you access to cool unlockables such as teleportation, faster reloading and shooting, and various upgrades for your guns. The original Vertigo game came out in 2016, so even if the 2020 remastered version added revamped graphics and a few other refinements, the mechanics can still feel a bit outdated at times, but it's often found on sale and is still a title that is worth your time in my humble opinion. The Invisible Hours. Okay, this one is a bit different than what you might expect, because while it still absolutely qualifies as a game, you're not going to play the hero nor the villain because you'll essentially be a fly on the wall. But it's extremely well made, so hear me out. The story is set on a desert island, where there is only one large house and its owner, Nikola Tesla, is found dead within the first few moments of the game, and the culprit is unknown. You'll be able to move freely around the house to find clues that you can pick up and store in your inventory, as well as attach yourself to any of the characters, observing the events as they unfold and being able to discover each character's secrets, as well as the mysteries the house itself has hidden around. Oh, and I also have to mention the time manipulation mechanic, because it feels awesome to be able to rewind and fast forward at any moment. It's an absolutely fascinating experience, somewhat based on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, and I can't tell you much more to avoid spoiling anything, but it's a highly rated title and for a good reason. 5 down, 15 to go. Well, including part 2 that is. But anyway, if you've enjoyed the content and format so far, please consider supporting the channel by hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so that you don't miss any future releases. And if you want to make some new VR friends, join the crew on my Discord server by clicking the invite link in the description below. Now, back to the next top Steam VR title. Budget Cuts 2. Imagine you come to the office one day and all of your colleagues have been replaced with robots. That's pretty much the basic premise of budget cuts, and your objective is to navigate the office without being spotted by simply avoiding or killing your new robo-colleagues. The sequel focuses a bit more on the action element of things, and while it still has some of the things that made the first one such a good title, it's simply more geared towards the shooting enthusiast, so I wouldn't call it better or worse than the first one, it's just different. There's more variety in the environments, and quirky things like picking up scissors to use instead of arrows with your bow keeps things fresh, and the writing is funny, witty, and you won't be able to keep a straight face while playing this one. If you've played both of them, I'd love to hear in the comments which one you liked more and why. Superhot. I have to start a bit backwards when it comes to this one by telling you that if you haven't played Superhot in VR, you should just put your headset down and think about the choices you've made in your life. Okay, maybe that was a bit harsh, but it's a classic and needs to be experienced in VR by anyone even remotely interested in this space. In case you have no idea what this game is about, the basic idea is that time only moves when you do, which straight away deserves points for innovation and makes for a frustratingly fun experience. You'll have lots of guns, knives, axes, and various other weapons and objects to use throughout the game to take down your enemies while making sure their bullets don't take you out as you're reaching for your pistol. The story itself isn't much to write home about, but the action and mechanics are just flawless and work extremely well. When I first tried it in VR, I wanted to play it for a bit and I ended up finishing the whole campaign in one go, because I just didn't want to stop playing, and dying just makes you want to try again. Even now, I go into the new endless mode from time to time to blow off some steam, and it's still as fun as ever. So just get this game, because I've personally not heard anyone say anything bad about it, and that's a lot to say about a VR game. Red Matter. This is a story-driven, sci-fi themed puzzle game. Since the release, it's been acclaimed as by far one of the best looking VR games and an excellent puzzle title. Red Matter will have you playing as an American government agent that has been sent to a Soviet base located on the moon that has suspiciously been evacuated, and your job is to recover clues and research left behind and investigate the circumstances of what happened. With pretty clear inspiration taken from sci-fi movies such as 2001: A Space Odyssey, this puzzler builds a lot of tension as you progress through it, trying to get to the bottom of the mysterious events. Next to the amazing graphics, this game offers you the option of room scale mobility, which means you'll be able to move using your actual legs in order to navigate the game. But this will of course be limited by your actual physical play space. If you don't have a big enough room, don't worry, you'll still be able to fully enjoy the game with 2 other mobility options that are just as immersive. This game is definitely worth being on your watch list. Phasmophobia. If you're a fan of horror games, then you'll love this one. It's a 4-player co-op ghost hunting experience. You and your friends are a team of paranormal investigators that have to visit various locations to gather evidence about the spirits that inhabit the houses. Suspense is a big part of this game since more often than not you'll have to provoke the paranormal activity and use things such as Ouija boards, cameras, crucifixes and more to make the spirits show themselves. It's honestly very well made and the online component makes for some very memorable moments with your friends. And since the game can also be played by non-VR users, you can gather up your squad whether they have a virtual reality headset or not. But just be warned that if you're the only one in the team that plays it in VR, everything will be much more intense and you might find yourself the topic of jokes in your gang for months to come. Anyway, your goal is to identify which type of ghost you're encountering by gathering clues and information. One really interesting aspect is that the microphone will be open not only for talking to your friends, but you can also use it to communicate with the spirits. And if you, for example, call them out by their name, they can get pretty pissed off, making you want to immediately go back to the safety of your van. But not only will you lose money by going full chicken and running away, money that can be used to get better equipment between rounds, but you might not make it to the door anyway. The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. It's honestly the only game on the market right now that I consider gets close to the level of Half-Life Alyx. And while I might get some hate in the comments for saying this, do note that I said gets close. This is a survival game, so it involves crafting better items, navigating zombie-riddled buildings, and going through some very intense missions. The physics in this one are very well developed, so the immersion and sense of presence are extremely good and you'll find yourself trembling as you look around every dark corner with your flashlight in one hand and weapon of choice in the other. As you gather more loot, you'll have a wide choice of weapons, from knives, axes, and katanas to ranged weapons like pistols, shotguns, bows, and so much more. The game is based in New Orleans and the map itself is huge with a lot of things to do and mechanics that are just superb for VR in general, but especially in a zombie-infested world where you'll need to be careful not just about the undead but other survivors as well, since it's pretty much every man for himself. It's a very involved experience that is much more than it seems on the surface, with an interesting story and a rather deep and complex world that feels as real as it gets. And one aspect that particularly adds to that is the fact that it actually uses the microphone on the headset to alert nearby zombies of your presence. So if you get startled and scream, all the other zombies in the area will hear you and likely come and get a bite to eat. But you can turn this feature off if you prefer. All that said, I'll reiterate that this game is very well made, and the new Trials mode gives it a big replayability factor too. So if you've been thinking about getting it, pull the trigger, you won't be sorry. These games are all big titles, but if you're more into indie games, I share a lot of them on my Twitter page, so follow me at VRManCave to see the latest work that indie devs are doing for future VR game releases. The ones of you who have been subscribed to the channel for a while know that I've promised to make more Let's Play types of videos, where we get to go through games together and enjoy what they have to offer. So if you think any of the games on this list would be a good fit, please let me know in the comments down below. Part 2 of this video is coming out really soon, and it may actually already be out by the time you see this. But in the meantime, if you still have time to hang out here on YouTube, please consider watching either this or this next. I hope you've enjoyed the video, I'll see you soon, and as always, stay safe and enjoy VR. Cheers!